My videos will contain a giveaway starting now. My partner, Dobby Trading, made these awesome customized Dragon Shield sleeves that we will be giving away for free. To win, you have to be located in Europe, be subscribed to this channel, count the number of times the Dobby Trading logo appears in this video, and post it in the comments. The first person with the correct answer wins. Welcome, welcome. This is Rob Fighting with another Legacy video. As you can hear, I'm still recovering from a cold, so my voice is a little darker than usual. Today, I will be playing Mono Red Stompy. My inspiration was Peter Csiszmadia, I hope I'm pronouncing your name correctly, because he destroyed everyone in Austria Linz, and on one day, he played exactly this list of Mono Red Prison. I am a true enjoyer of Mono Red. I love the turn 1 Blood Moon. I used to play turn 1 Rebel Master and got away with it. We got some upgrades, some really, really good upgrades. The mana is better because there is another spell land, Sundering Eruption, and I do believe this land, actually this spell is the reason why this deck can be playable, because it can destroy target land. So imagine you play a Blood Moon, your opponent is happy because they find their one-off basic swamp, basic plains, and then you destroy it with Sundering Eruptions, and all of a sudden no more basics, no more spells. So the being a land and being this important spell under Blood Moon, under Magus of the Moon, is actually super, super relevant. You still get to play Chromox, Spirit Guide, City of Traitors, Ancient Tombs, so all the fast mana that exists in the meta game. You still get to play Magus of the Moon and Blood Moon, but besides that, many of the cards have changed. Fable of the Mirror Breaker is a standard all-star that also sees some play in Legacy, and here I feel it's so cool, so good. Not only that you get to make a token that makes these treasure tokens mana, because I will get into it, there are more big mana threats in the deck. You also get to discard accessible Blood Moons and Magus of the Moons, because generally you only need one copy. And when you ever get to make it Reflection, so the flip side, and get to copy cards like Pyrogoyf and Fury, lights out for the opponent super quickly. Then we have Broadside Bombardiers, another fantastic new card. It has Menace Haste, 2 damage, not that relevant, but the Boast effect, sacrifice another creature or artifact, is actually insanely relevant in the deck. Not only can you sack Magus of the Moon for 5 damage, you can sack an Evoked Fury for 7 damage, a Pyrogoyf for 6 damage, but what's the best you can do in this deck is sacking the One Ring. It is indestructible, but the Bombardiers can still sack it. Imagine you have it on 3, 4 burden counters. You really want to get rid of it because it will kill you soon, and the Broadside Bombardiers can actually get rid of it. Fantastic. This is such a cool interaction. Makes me believe that the One Ring shouldn't be banned, because this deck is only possible because this card is just completely insane. You can cast it on turn 1. You can very often cast it on turn 2. If your opponent has something like a Force of Negation or anything to exile it once it's in the battlefield, Count the Great Creator can just get it back. So it's never ending, the One Ring. And I find that so cool. On the other hand, of course, I must admit that the One Ring is probably a bit too oppressive, because if you chain the One Rings, then cards like Barrogoyf, cards like Great Oath Behemoth, cards like Atraxa, Grizzlebrand, all these big threats that want to attack you, that are really problematic for the deck to beat, can just not hit you because you have the One Ring protection. And when we look at the sideboard, I miss a few current targets in Mycosynth Letters, in Ensnaring Bridge. There are the Liquid Metal Coating that is quite typical. There is a Tormod Script that is quite typical. There is a one of Trinisphere. I like the idea of playing only one in the sideboard, although if you play against combo, I think once the Blood Moon is not good anymore, you are completely helpless. On the other hand, Tron is really powerful right now, and Tron plays for Trinisphere and usually eats the combo decks alive because of Leyline, Mindbreak Trap, Trinisphere. And maybe that's like the next level thinking, saying, okay, Tron is the best deck in the format, and whatever they beat, I don't have to beat. And this is a hedge against it. So the sideboard is actually lots of cards against Tron. Nullrod, fantastic against Tron. Disruptor Flute, fantastic against Tron. Fiery Confluence, fantastic against Tron. Only the Dead and Gone is kind of a hedge against all the big threats I just mentioned. Barrogoyf, Murktide Regent, Marit Lage, Grizzlebrand. Sometimes it's just good to return the creatures to their hand. Sometimes you even get to cast the dead. I'm thinking about Goblin Welder, Goblin Engineer. So the card is very flexible. I wish there would be more Graveyard Hate in the sideboard. I wish there would be Mycosin's Lettuce in the sideboard. But I cannot argue with Petr Cishmadia, who completely destroyed everyone on Sunday, and he also completely destroyed me on Friday when I played lands. On the play, he made a turn 1 Magus, and I drew my card for the turn. I was thinking for, let's say, 20 seconds, and I was like, I don't have anything to beat Magus of the Moon in game 1. In game 2, I had a couple of dismembers in hand, and Peter played a Blood Moon on turn 1. So I had some outs to find green mana, to find Force of Vigor, to find Boseiju, but it looked very, very dim. So maybe just having 8 moons is enough in this current meta to make a mess out of your opponent's deck. And this is exactly what this deck wants to do. Let's see how we will be doing. Here we go, round number 1, game number 1, mono red Stompy. This is just a mountain and a spirit guide, no turn 1, not even a turn 2. We needed to draw like a Chrome Marks, Ancient Tomb. We are on the draw, so there is a chance, but the hand just doesn't feel good enough. Hand number 2 has Sundering Eruption, Mountain, and Chrome Marks, so a slower start, but we do have Karn, Broadside, and lots of removal. Let's try it. Let's bottom the Pyrogoyf. Maybe it's also correct to bottom the Fury. Not certain. Peter can comment. Island is, of course, something I would rather not see. Blood Moon is, of course, something I would rather see. So here we just get to pass and make a turn 2 Blood Moon. Underground Sea is, of course, okay. Chrome Marks, resolves. Maybe I should have kept the Sundering Eruption. There is a Daze and a Flow State for 0 value, a Dark Ritual, so it is Doomsday. Broadside is countered, and Doomsday is cast. I need to draw like an Ancient Tomb now, so I can play Karn, get Disruptor Flute on the Thassa's Oracle, but I think whatever I do, it will not be enough. I do draw City of Traitors, which is cool. Here's Karn plus Flute. Maybe naming Brainstorm would also be good. I wait for it because I don't really know what to name. Here he puts Street Wraith on his deck, then casts the Brainstorm and Forces. So the Force was very probably in the pile. I should just do it in my turn. Because now I see the cards he had, the Edge of Autumn, the Force of Will, Thassa's Oracle, 1 card in library. Yeah. So it was a pile with probably like a lot of cyclers because there is no Lion's Eye Diamond and Consider. Lion's Eye Diamond doesn't even work against the Karn, so that was good of my opponent. But maybe I should just cast the Disruptor Flute right away. Naming Brainstorm would probably be okay. Naming Oracle would, of course, be okay. For game number 2, I took out the Furies because I saw that my opponent likes to play Barrogoyfs. Maybe I could have brought in the Disruptor Flutes, not being too reliant on the Karn finding it. Maybe I could have also brought in the Null Rods because under a Blood Moon, Lotus Petal, if not basic Swamp, is usually one of the only chances my opponent has to find black mana. This is a turn 1 Magus. Opponent mulligans to 5. Let's roll. That's what the mono red deck does. Force a will. Okay. So he has 3 cards. I have 2. Let's see who draws better. I do draw the City of Traitors. Get to play Karn. And Karn finds the Trinisphere, which will be nice against my opponent's deck. Flow state for 0 value. So you can see when you have lots of pressure from the Karn decks. Tormod script is good against the Unearth line. But I just wanted to be mana efficient and grab anything. A 3 mana Brainstorm probably doesn't do it. And now I actually get to play Magus and the game is over. So 1 force, not enough. Flow state for 0 value, not enough. So again, dead gone in, fury out. Maybe I should not hedge against a possible sideboard plan. Maybe I should just bring in the flutes and the null rods and see how it's going, because I still have Pyroglyph for an answer. Let's see what our hand looks like. This is Chromox. We miss a land, double Karn. It's probably okay because we can make a turn 1 Blood Moon, but due to the double Chromox, we still need a red card when we want to cast the Blood Moon on turn 1, and the Karns are quite slow. I think Mulligan is the best decision. My past me agrees. This is a turn 2 Blood Moon off of a mountain. Maybe that can do it. Let's see. Underground Sea, Thoughtseize. Okay, no Blood Moon for me. I hope that my opponent kept a slow hand with some draw spells, some creatures because of the Thoughtseize. And that's exactly what happens. Here's Fable. This will get me out of the trouble because I can discard some of the removal that is not needed right here. My opponent plays a Dark Witcher to crack the clue and play a flow state for value. Wild. Here I get to discard some lands. I find Dead Gone, which is cool. But I do have the Bombardiers. It gets forced, so my opponent doesn't really have much combo going on. He is, as I said, a value deck. Forces my Pyroglyph. Draws flow state off the top. That is, of course, very dangerous. It can always find Dark Witcher Doomsday, but he just cracks the clue for value, flips Tamiyo, and plays another one. We do have the answers though. Daze is strong. Let's see if we can beat that Tamiyo. I wish there would be some Pyroblasts in the sideboard, also a card that is really cool. But I think with the Fable, I can slowly but steady overwhelm the Tamiyo +1. I just need to hope that my opponent doesn't draw out of it. Here's Doomsday. My opponent goes to 5 life. And I have 4 damage on board already. Close, close, close. 1 card in hand. Cycle, cycle. Thassa's Oracle. And here my opponent doesn't win, because the flip side is a green and blue card, but I think it doesn't have any mana value, right? It doesn't count to devotion. This is something I also didn't know. I don't know if it's correct. Sometimes Magic Online does things incorrectly, but I'm quite certain that it's correct. So good thing to know. I didn't know it before. Here I draw a Blood Moon. So it doesn't matter what 3 cards my opponent has in the deck, I win. Because 2 is not 3. Lucky me. Round 2 against Legacy Grinder. This was not a turn 1. This is a turn 2 Karn. Can be cool. We have Fury removal. Also Fable off of a mountain. So let's see how it goes. Mountain Pass. Yavimaya. There's a Fable. So it is lands. The moment we get a Blood Moon on the battlefield will make it much harder for him. I destroy the Yavimaya because I know that the deck is mana hungry. It needs lots of green, but he has another one. Finds a Boseiju for the Fable and a Wasteland for the Ancient Tomb. I do have the Karn though. Karn can get Disruptor Flute for Thespian stage, so he cannot combo on me, but he does have the Boseiju. So he just needs to find a Loam to put the Karn in his hand. I do find the Crypt, so I can make this, what's it called? Walk-in closet, like the green Crucible of Worlds, less effective. And here I can attack for 4. I decide not to crack it because I wanted to wait for the Loam, and I wanted to wait for this Boseiju to be in the graveyard to actually get rid of the Disruptor Flute. My opponent concedes because he didn't really have anything to do against what I had going. Game number 2, I took out the Furies, I brought in the Deadcons. Maybe the Disruptor Flute, maybe the Null Rod can be in the main deck just to increase the chances of having it, because those 2 cards are great. Hand 1 was nothing. Hand 2 is a turn 1 Magus. Let's do it. Yavimaya, Mox Diamond, and Malevolent Rumble. He shows me Boseiju, Ghost Quarter, Saga, and another Rumble. He picks the Saga. Let's see if he has an answer to Magus. It's Dismember. Maybe they play the Twin Shot Sniper, but it's not really common anymore. But that usually is a way. There's just a Loam. So the chances are really high that this Magus of the Moon is enough to get there, because he starts drawing, which means that he needs to find his like 2 or 3 outs in Dismember. That is the tricky part about playing lands against mono red. Dismember is good against Magus. Boseiju, Force of Vigor is good against Blood Moon. If you have the correct answer, you usually win. But you have a couple of Dismembers. You have like 5-6 answers. Oh no, more Boseijus, more Force of Vigors, Life from the Loam. You have more answers for Blood Moon, but you have to have it in hand. And this is exactly how I lost against Peter and Linz. I just got rid of the token. I don't even know why. Doesn't matter. Either he finds a removal for Magus or not. There's second Magus. That is usually lights out. And here's the concession. So lands, probably one of the better matchups when you play mono red. Round 3. Let's go. I am on the draw. I need to click carefully that I don't miss my mulligans, because it's hard to imagine where I am. This is a turn 1 Fable. Turn 2 Ring. Could be cool. Let's try it. Caracas. Etherwire. Okay. Pyroglyph seems nice. I make the turn 1 Fable. Get ahead on board, get ahead on mana, and also be able to discard some of the cards. Here my opponent destroys my city, which is fantastic for me because it lets me play more lands from my hand, and I don't actually care losing it. So here, use the Fable, get rid of some of the mana sources, Spirit Guide and Basic. I draw Blood Moon, which is fantastic because my opponent will be playing only off that Ether Vial, and he needs to find the Skyclave to kill my Blood Moon to use his mana. Otherwise, of course, Goblin Shaman cannot attack because the Orchid Phantom has First Strike. But now I get to play the One Ring soon, and this is usually a card. It's really tough to beat for my opponent. He doesn't play Skyclave Apparition, which is cool. He doesn't play the 2 mana anymore. Spirit of the Labyrinth. That would suck for sure. Maybe it should be in the deck somewhere. But here my opponent has to decide if he wants the Skyclave, my Blood Moon, or the One Ring. If he even has it. Okay, he has it. Skyclave's the One Ring. Sure. My Pyroglyph is still quite small. That's a bit of a bummer. There's Magus. Yorion in hand. Ether Vial on 4. I make end step token. Here I can play the 1-2. Only 1 damage, but I do get to copy it. And then the first one is 1 damage. And the second one should be 2 damage, right? Because it's 2 triggers. It doesn't matter. I'll just attack with all. He gets to block the Magus for value. Yeah. Still takes 6 damage, 13 life. I don't know if the Yorion will be able to help. Pyroglyph is not that great in the matchup because not so many things die. Needs to have a sword. On 5, the worst thing that can happen is Solitude. I copy Pyroglyph, so it doesn't look like there's a Solitude. I play another Pyroglyph, so that's 3 triggers in face. So even if he has Solitude, just as Overlord, probably wants to find the Solitude, but maybe you have to do it in response, because the moment I copy and then get the triggers, it is usually game over. For game number 2, I took out Magus. I took out Chromox because my opponent has Thalia. My opponent has lots of ways to get rid of it easily. And I brought in Dead Gons. I brought in the Nullrod. I even took out one of the One Rings because I think Death and Taxes has quite some answers to it. And I like having one in the side when you play Karn. So this is one of the aspects about the deck list that I'm not extremely happy with. This hand is a turn 3 Blood Moon, so it looks like limited. No thank you. This hand is better. We have an Ancient Tomb. We do have shaky mana because everything gets wastelanded and Ghost Quarter not so much, but they can still Ghost Quarter in my upkeep. Everything gets wastelanded. I do have Fury, which is a much better card in this matchup. So let's see how it goes. Would love to draw a mountain. No, Ether Vial is of course fantastic. Nullrod would be cool if there's an Ether Vial. So I had it covered from the draw step. Let's see what my opponent can do on turn 2. Stoneforge is of course great. Meteor Sword also great. Probably means I have to cast a Fury. I'm just counting my mana. Maybe it was enough to cast the Shatterskull Smashing for 2. But maybe playing the Karn, getting Tormod Script because of Formalware. Maybe I like getting the Ring better. Formalware is of course an issue that I need to handle at some point in this game. There's land. Now I can get the Ring. My opponent is stuck on 2 lands. Probably unable to beat the One Ring. Thalia is good. I didn't think about Thalia even when I recorded this. I never think about Thalia. I think this is the only reason why this card is actually playable, because people forget it exists. Like, it's such a dum-dum. But I think people just forget that it exists. He gets to kill my Karn. He doesn't get to attack me because I have the One Ring, but he does get to blink the Recruiter. Kill the Karn. That is of course a bummer. Let's hope the One Ring can get me out of this. Fury would be cool. Karn, meh. Let's draw 2. Smashing is cool. I get to clear the board. Again, fantastic that these lands have effects. I do like Oops. I do like the way these lands work. But I think in this deck, they are as fair as they can be, and they're still fantastic. Skyclave for my one ring is of course miserable. Opponent 7 cards, that will be hard for sure. Fable and Fable. Get ahead on mana and especially get rid of this Null Rod, because my opponent doesn't have anything that he wants to activate as of now. Blood Moon is cool. I love it. Let's get rid of Karn and Null Rod. Maybe I should have kept the Dead Gone. Yeah, I think keeping everything is completely fine, because I can Dead Gone the Stoneforge, or I can also just cast 2 Pyroglyphs and dome him for 10. Is it enough? I think so. Okay, I start with a Blood Moon. Ah, well, of course, you can play around Swords to Plowshares if you're not a complete dum-dum. There's Failure. I Dead Gone the Stoneforge, and I miscounted my mana, because I only have 3 left. Now my opponent gets to Failure away. Oh, the Blood Moon, that's interesting. Yeah, not a fan of my play. Should activate the Ancient Tomb beforehand. The Flicker Wisp on my token. Blood Moon comes back. 3, 4, 5, 6. Not enough to cast double Pyroglyph. If only I had activated that Ancient Tomb last turn. There is Pyroglyph though to get rid of the flyer, and I do have 2 reflections of Kiki-Jiki that are active starting next turn. Gain some life, which is cool. I'm not close to die. Failure blinks my token, that is nice. Lion Sash. Now my opponent needs to have Solitude. I think even 2 Solitudes, because I get to play Pyroglyph, put the copy on the stack. If he Solitudes, I get to copy again, and I think it's in total 18 damage that he cannot prevent. So let's do it. Not super happy about my sequencing. It was enough, because the Death in Texas with the Black Splash is quite mana hungry. If he has nothing, then I get to copy the Pyroglyph, and I copy it again to make 1, 3, and then 6. 6 times 6 damage, 36. Plenty enough to beat my opponent here. Round number 4, game number 1. I get to start. Turn 1 Moon. Let's go. I could play turn 1 Fable, but I think turn 1 Moon, that's what I love. Delta, hahaha. I don't have a turn 2 play, but I think the turn 1 Moon should be good. Now there is a ring, my opponent concedes. I love it, let's go. So I saw the polluted deltas. I'm thinking that it's like it could be blue-black tempo, it could be Doomsday. I took out the Magus because I felt that after sideboard he might have more interaction like Hydroblast, and also removal spells being on the draw. The Magus felt a little lackluster. I brought in the Dead Guns, anticipating Barrowglyphs, Murktides. Let's see if I'm right. Maybe the correct choice is always stay focused until you know what you're playing against. So I could totally see not doing this Magus swap. This is lots of removal and a very slow ring, but I keep it because I have the impression that my opponent plays a tempo deck. Ponder from an Underground Sea. Could still be Doomsday, very well. Fable is a fantastic draw, probably one of the best cards to draw in this matchup. Let's see if it resolves. Force a negation. Flow State, okay. My opponent kept a 1-lander, probably lots of removal for my things. Let's see if he has a removal for the 1 ring. Force, sure. Pitching Murktide, it can still be Tempo Doomsday, but the chances is very high that it's the blue-black tempo deck. Flow State for value, that's good. Pyrogoyf only shoots 3 in the face. No days, that's cool. Flow state for value and a snuff out. Another Pyrogoyf for value. Opponent goes to 8. Shieldred's Edict is good. 7 life. Here's Karn. Force of Negation. Pitching Days. There is Pyrogoyf. The Pyrogoyf is unfortunately not enough to finish the Pyrogoyf. We do have the Dead. Pitching Hydroblast. My opponent has lots of answers. So I need to Fury on the Pyrogoyf. I really hope he doesn't have another one, but he does. That's a super bummer. Because the Pyrogoyf will beat the Pyrogoyf in the race due to the lifelink. And I don't draw out of it. Bit of a bummer. The Force of Will that destroyed my Dead Gone was really good. Maybe I should just Dead Gone bounce and attack and try to hardcast the Fury. But I think beating back-to-back Pyrogoyfs is a challenge for the mono-red deck. So for game number 3, I took out the Furies because I think they don't destroy too much. It is just Tamiyo because Pyrogoyf and Murktide are usually big enough. Maybe it's okay against the Orcish Bowmasters, but I just felt that I liked Magus more than Fury. Of course, can be wrong. I play it for the first time since a few years have passed. The first hand wasn't really that good. The second hand has a turn 1 Magus. That worked in one game. And if the turn 1 Magus gets countered, I have a turn 2 Ring. Cross fingers. There's Force. Unfortunate. Hopefully no Force of Will, no Thoughtseize. The 1 Ring resolves. That's cool. Let's draw out of this. Maybe he has enough Bowmasters. He cannot Thoughtseize me because I have the 1 Ring protection. Now I get to draw 2 more cards. There's of course fantastic. Here's Karn. That was more bait than anything. And there's Trinisphere. And my opponent concedes. Not sure what he has. Playing land Pyrogoyf would of course be good, as it always is. Pyrogoyf is just a fantastic card. So my Magus got countered, the Ring resolved, Karn resolved, and Karn found a Trinisphere to win the game. Last round of this league. Can we get the trophy? Hopefully, yes. I'm on the draw. That's a bit of a bummer. Turn 1 Fable. That's cool. Let's go. Opponent mulligans to 6. Maybe some combo deck. As you see, I have 0 protection. Let's Fable it up. It's nice that I drew the land, because I would rather keep the Broadside Bombardiers. Fable resolves, that's cool. Token dies. Fatal Push, Blueback Tempo. Wasteland is okay, because I have more lands. Cling to Dust, maybe like a Grixis control deck. So the 1 Ring and the Karn will be cool. Let's play the Ring. Force or Death. It is Death. And having the Reflection is of course cool, because I get to copy Fury and Pyrogoyf if I draw it. But first I draw some cards with the awesome 1 Ring. Let's hardcast the Fury. It resolves. That's cool. And now I even get to copy it, but I can also just copy it in my opponent's end step. In the end, it didn't matter. Oh no, it did. I should have copied the Fury because the Fatal Push cannot kill the 5-mana Fury. Pyrogoyf is an issue, obviously. I just draw some cards. Having the Broadside is fantastic though. because I get to Fury the Barrogoyf and then hit more damage with the broadside, and I get to sack the One Ring. It is the only way it works, because if I didn't do it other way, I think maybe you can rewind and check it again, because the Barrogoyf will be a 6/7 once the One Ring is sacrificed, and I really wanted to sacrifice the One Ring. 6 life and 3 burden counters means only 2 turns. And this way, I have a 1-turn clock. For my opponent, more Blood Moons. Plays a Daze, super interesting. I don't pay it. Karn. I think Tomod Script is a good way. Fatal Push. Okay, that's why I need to play the Daze. Cool play by my opponent to trigger Revolt. 4 mana Kaito. Stun counters on my Fury. That's cool. Here I play the Coating, but I forget that in my opponent's turn, the Kaito has Hexproof. So I just should have played the Fury. I don't even know why I didn't cast it, because I have 5 mana. Minor misstep. Don't think it matters so much. I get to get Liquid Metal Coating, the lands from my opponent away. So yeah, I completely forgot that Kaito has Hexproof in my opponent's turn. So another one of these cards with lots of text where we don't need to read the small print. So my bad, almost lost. Whoopsie. Avoid these easy mistakes. I'm making them, so you don't have to make them. You're welcome. I took in the Dead Gons. I took out the Chromoxes. Think the Grixis Control likes to play Kolaghan's Command, and I don't want the Chromox to die. So it will be more of a slower game. Here, the hand is not that great, but also I don't care about Thoughtseize so much. I have a turn to Moon. I have stable mana with Mountain. So let's play some slow magic. See, Wasteland, haha. There's Blood Moon. I like it over Magus, because the Magus can die, Blood Moon cannot. My opponent doesn't respond with Wastelanding the Ancient Tomb. That's interesting. There's Bowmasters. 9-turn clock. Given that I have Fury in hand, doesn't look so great. Drawing lands, of course, fantastic. More moons, why not? Opponent just has a swamp. Pyrogoyfs, only 1 damage, but it's enough to kill. Bowmasters. I'm not afraid of another Bowmasters. If he has it, he has it. Fatal Push killing Pyrogoyf is, of course, sad. Gets another Pyrogoyf. I feel there might be a few Barrogoyfs in my opponent's hand hiding. But I do have the Hardcast Fury mode, which is much better than the Evoked one. Because it means I can sacrifice it to the Bombardiers in combat, which I do now. Exactly 7 damage. Goodbye. I won the trophy. Yippee. We did well. So round 1, a 2-1 against Doomsday. I feel the Dark Ritual Doomsday on turn 1 is tough to beat. Blood Moon can mess it up, but all the other cards aren't really that scary. Of course, Broadside Bombardiers, evoking Fury, sacking is exactly 9 damage. So the deck has some play against Doomsday, but I feel we got a little bit lucky. Then we beat Blue-Black Tempo. Should be a fine matchup. Barrogoyf is scary, of course, but the mana base has a problem when it's only mountains. 2-0 against Grixis Control. Again, lots of basics, but as I said in the very beginning, the Sundering Eruptions is actually the card that makes this deck work. Destroy your basic lands from your opponent, and this will do the trick. Then we destroyed Black and White Texas. I played a little bit of Death and Texas, and I must admit that I was most successful with the white-black version. It has some good play, but against Blood Moon, you just get completely destroyed. Pyrogolf and Fury, Broadside Bombardiers, the One Ring. Like, there are so many problematic cards in deck, you don't even know what to attack first. You probably just die, and the Count Creator shutting off your Ether Vial is just the nail in the coffin. And the last round was exactly as the round I had against Peter in Linz. We annihilated lands. So in total, a 10-1 trophy. Finally, I got a trophy on my hand. The deck is cool. The deck is fun. The deck is fast. You have to mulligan because you need turn 1, turn 2 threat. I like that he plays 6 mountains because mountain into turn 2 Blood Moon is fine. Your opponent usually has to mulligan to a hand that at least is good against a turn 1 play, and that usually means it is not as fast. The sideboard is, as I said in the beginning, a bit of a challenge. It wanted to be good against Tron. I totally get the idea. I registered exactly this list in a challenge the week later, and I only finished 3-3 because I run into more problematic matchups such as Reanimator. So the deck is a very good metagame call if people want to play fair, if people want to play artifacts, if people want to tap artifacts. But the moment they play unfair, the moment they play basics, the moment they play lots of hydroblasts, which I can totally see from the future, because the blue-red tempo is really, really good right now, and Chorister Cutter is problematic for so many decks that I could just see people play 2 to 3 hydroblasts in the sideboard, and we would get the splash hate with Mono-Red Prison. Having said that, of course, I will never argue with Peter Chishmadia. He basically provided me with my first trophy on Magic Online since I started streaming. The deck list is good, the deck list is fun. Test it out if you like it, and I hope you have counted the numbers of Dobby Trading logo. It is right under me in this video. If so, post it in the comments. If not, roll back, fast forward, and count the number of times you can actually get to win, or get the chance to win, some nice Dragon Shield sleeves from Dobby Trading. Cheers.